Hello and welcome to Dubai Autodrome, the national circuit. Here we have the Bugatti Bolide and something special this time that I normally do not do. And that is, well, watch from the top left-hand corner, you'll see another screen coming down. We're going to see two versions of this race at the same time. Volume will just be the big screen. So the small left-hand screen there, that's going to have me taking two cuts. The big screen is just going to be one cut. So the common way of doing this, if you're not familiar with it, is taking two cuts. Ooh, that's a little bit sloppy. I'll hone that in, don't you worry. So the first big cut's coming up right here, which you can see me taking in the small screen. And in the big screen, I'm not taking it. I did a little bit there, but that's not intentional. I'm going to stop that for the most part. And then there's another cut coming up, and this track, oh, this is one of my favorites because every single lap you take a jump. So watch. Here we get airborne, and believe it, that's really airborne. You could tell from the picture that you clicked on to watch this video. So why are we doing this? Well, I was convinced that I needed to take both cuts because I maintain more momentum when I do that. And I was just about to make a video just using the left-hand screen, and I thought, you know, I better test this. So that's why the right hand, the main screen, I'm a little bit sloppy. Some of that too is just several things. If you catch the draft for a little bit, it's going to throw off your braking points. So I was having trouble nailing the braking points for skipping the big first cut. But I thought, you know, I better do a full test because what if I'm wrong? What if the fame per minute numbers are different? And there's only one way to really find that answer, and that is to just do it. And so to really do it, I had to do a little more homework, and meaning that doing more tests, making sure I really know what I'm doing. And that takes some time, right? And also with this track, I did a version of this driving the Porsche 919 Hybrid Evo. And again, that car was an awesome one to take the big jump with. But that was one under the old bot programming where there was what I affectionately called Ghost Nitro. So because the ghosts would just floor it, you could get really taken out sometimes when you were merging with traffic after the cut that's near the cuts that's coming up right away here on the big screen. I just took it on the small screen. So this cut coming up right here, I merge with traffic up here, and you gotta watch it because once in a while a bot's in front of you, but you actually passed him, so he's gonna slow down substantially. So that's what's going on here. Here I'm getting nice draft on the small screen, but I know they're gonna nail the brake soon, so I don't want to stay there too long. I'm also going to talk a little bit about the braking points that I'm using. Now, once I get this completely dialed, I'm full throttle through this section on the main screen. And there I got a little squirrely trying to get it dialed in. But it's extremely interesting. So on the small screen, I'm definitely further ahead as far as laps are concerned. Like I'm not a whole lap ahead, but I'm steadily moving further. But look at the distances. I'm logging more distance in the big screen over the same time period. So in the small screen, I just started lap 5, and in the big screen, I'm already several seconds behind, but still logging more distance. It'll be very curious to see how this all works, and which race will have me hitting the perpetual point first. Well, let's get on to my control settings. So Tilt B Sensitivity 2 is what I use. You need to have all your assists off if you're going to do this. And I would highly recommend Tilt B controls because you'll notice that when I lose traction, the way I regain traction is simply let go of the accelerator and then get back on it again. If you try to pull out of a skid with Tilt A controls or staying on the gas and Tilt B, you're just going to keep sliding around. By the way, did you notice that strange grouping of 3 bots on the main screen? That's really curious. That's not normal. So there's a few things about this that really surprised me, and it might change how I approach endurance races in the future a little bit, because sometimes I've been an advocate of keeping momentum going. Now, okay, something really unique about that big cut I just took, the first big cut, is you really have to slow down a lot. And I think that's the big difference here, is that you can't avoid having to take that big arcing right-hand turn whether you cut or you don't cut. So it's very interesting how this all works out. And I love taking this jump, but however, you need to be on the brakes just as you're hitting the jump on this particular car. Speaking of brakes, let's look at braking points on the next lap here. Let's use the main screen again. So coming up here, a wall starts on my right-hand side. Right when that wall ends, I'm on the brakes. And you need to make sure all 4 tires stay on track. Doing that will enable you to get into the throttle here, which is optimal. If you have proper trajectory, you can stay full throttle through all this, but then you got to get on the brakes pretty quick here through this section. On the gas for just a pinch, then on the brakes again, full throttle. And just when you're starting to make this left-hand turn, you want to get on the brakes, full throttle again. And again, watching that wall on the right-hand side, that appears right before that is ending, kind of when it starts to curve. I'm on the brakes, back on the throttle, and look, this guy, see that? I actually passed him. So if I would have got behind him to catch the draft, I would have just been smacking his rear end because he's not stopping. So this is my second in this endurance test in my fully upgraded Bugatti Bolide. So this is in the exclusive series. You must be fully upgraded, and look at this. We're hitting the perpetual point on the main screen. There they are. So, but are they also there on the small screen? So who's actually going to get there first? Oops, middle mistake on the small screen. Okay, I still can't catch them on the main screen. Oh, I actually hit them on the small screen first, but still extremely close. I'm hitting them distance-wise earlier on the small screen, but laps-wise earlier on the big screen. And the bot behavior is different between the... Oh, I tried to stay full throttle on the big screen and messed me up. Small screen, I did a major drift right there. All-wheel drive cars, if you blow your braking point, you throw the car sideways and just floor it, and you'll actually stop quicker. So that's how I stopped myself from going flying off track there. It's kind of interesting, but let's pay attention to bot behavior. So I've done a lot of endless endurance races. You might know that. This video is available in a playlist with piles of races. Normally you'll hear me say, the faster your lap times are back to back, the closer the bots will appear. Well, there's some different data that I'm learning today, and I'm not sure what to do with it yet. So that is generally true though, and I've proven that time and time and time again in multiple races. But something's just different about this particular race, and so I'm just gonna have to log that in my memory and see if it pops up again. Very curious. By the way, we're only going to go to 50 kilometers this time. I often use 100 kilometers as a test. You can clearly see I'm at the perpetual point in both videos. That's very obvious. Ooh, a little bit of a cut there on the main screen that I didn't mean to do. And you'll also see that it's pretty easy for me to refill the timer in both races. Ooh, that's a dangerous cut on the main screen. Look at this. Look how close these bots are on the main screen. That is highly unusual. And I don't quite know how to explain that. Now I'm getting my braking point not more dialed on the main screen. I'm working on it. That last corner is tricky. As you're approaching that last corner, there's an area on your left where there's a break in the red markings. I'll point that again when we get there. We'll be there pretty quick. And usually I'm braking at the end of that. This time I'm braking at the beginning of that. And that works good for this Bolide. Because, well, this car is crazy fast with crazy grip. Not the greatest brakes, but pretty dang good actually for a car that's this monstrous. And then look at these bots. Like, where do I even merge? And then there's a gaggle. Okay, well, watch on your left. The red's going to suddenly end and then start again. I am braking just as it's ending. And look at that. Now I'm getting it nicely dialed. So it's not just braking points that matters. Braking and trajectory and getting back to the throttle. All of that matters. So this is going to be an interesting thing on the main screen where the bots started to get stacked up. Like, so weird. I'm not quite sure. I'm being careful here. I'm really trying to avoid damage because in these mega fast cars, damage is very detrimental. It really hurts your top speed. It also affects your acceleration and your grip. Affects your brakes. It affects everything, but you'll really notice the loss in top speed. And that was a pretty big jump. Wow. I love that. This is a little bit more arcade-like, this particular race, because come on, you can't be jumping a Bugatti Bolide and keep driving it, let alone doing it every single lap. Come on. But it's hilarious. I love it. By the way, you might have heard me say this in the past. If you ever want to get footage of a jump, you have to catch it live. When you watch the replays, you will never see the car in the air. Replays always have the car on the ground. So you got to be faster with your fingers to catch a jump. One of the secrets is to use tilt A controls if you want to get some nice jump pictures. That way you've got one thumb always free on the pause button. So there we go, getting nice there. And again, the bots are just so close together on my main screen, which honestly doesn't make sense to me because my lap times are actually slower on the main screen. So it must have something to do with lap times and the amount of on-track driving that you're logging. So that'll be very curious to watch. Now, because I'm going the exact same distance in both races, the expectation is that the currency earnings will be identical. However, our dollar earnings take into account how much you were off track. Now, off track is both 2 tires and 4 tires. Every time 2 tires are off track, you're losing a little bit of currency because your car is getting more damaged. Now, this isn't the type of damage that slows you down. This is the type of damage that just loses you currency. When all 4 tires are off track, you're losing maximum currency, as in the clean race bonus. So I expect to get the same fame and the same base R dollar amount for both races, but then I'm going to have heavier deductions on the smaller screen. And we'll keep track of all that. We're already getting close to 50 kilometers, so I better explain how this is going to end. As soon as I hit 50 kilometers, I'll drive it off track and I will consider the race over. So that means that I'm going to use a number for actual race time. Actual race time means from the second the light turns green until I hit 50 kilometers. That's how I'm going to get accurate fame per minute and R dollar per minute numbers. I want you to see that so that you can get the answer to the question, what happens if I go 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours? Well, it's simple. Just do the multiplication. You want to know how much you can earn in 2 hours? Multiply my answers by 120. Now, I would always say, if you're going to do this, always hire the agent, hire the manager, and I would do it on a bonus fame or a bonus R day, because then you could quadruple your fame earnings and increase your R earnings by 5.6 multiplier if you did it on 180% R day. Okay, so we can see that it's already ended in the 1-cut version and still going in the 2-cut version. Now, I know you might say this is 3 cuts, but that last section, I just kind of consider that one big cut. And yeah, this is extremely interesting. Basically going like a lap and a third longer in this, in what's now the main screen. One other thing I should mention, and that is the race that I only took 1 cut in, I was successful in avoiding damage, no cracked windshield at all, whereas in the version where I was taking 2 cuts, I did get a pretty heavily cracked windshield, which means I did lose top speed. I lost a little bit of everything, but that's not going to make up for all of how much extra distance I had to go, because it was pretty late in the race when that happened. All right, so very close to winding down the other race, and then we can see what these numbers are going to look like. So I'm going to synchronize this so that by the time the countdown stops, they're bang on. Let's look at the R dollars. Only 10 points difference. That's a very slight distance difference. And the fame amount, I think, will be identical. Oh yeah, totally identical. Okay, let's look at this. So 13 minutes, 20 seconds, 26 in the one, 12:23 in the other, and look at the fame per minute. And R per minute, like, way better earnings. This is an extremely good race option. If you want to know the full upgrade cost, check out the Indy Road Course version. I show that right at the beginning. I'm still doing tests, might find some more races. Please like, please subscribe, and race you later.